Oh, it's good to be back. Have not fans, this is the first episode review of the decade, the first episode of the year, and the first episode review of season 7, the deadliest season. Allegedly. Yeah, I'm still saying allegedly until we actually get some real deaths that actually count. Yes, those 2 thugs died, but meh. So, it's good to be back, as Tony Stark said at the beginning of this video, but overall, guys, this episode exceeded my expectations. In my opinion, I think it is a 9 out of 10. I don't think it was perfect, but I do think it was pretty damn good and a great start to this season overall. What are some of my nitpicks? I have a few, and when I say a few, I mean like little minor ones, but I do feel like some people agree with me based off the tweets that I was reading and responding to last night. And guys, if you haven't done so already, you definitely need to follow me on Twitter. I do plan to be watching every episode live as well as tweeting during each episode. So I'm not going to say I'm going to reply to everybody's tweets because remember, I'm watching the episode, taking notes, and tweeting at the same time. So if you want to follow me, links to all my social media are in the description below. And with that being said, there were a lot of revelations and mysteries that were followed up on within the first couple minutes of the show. First off, the first 3 minutes was a recap of season 6, which I didn't mind because, well, the show's been gone for 6 months. So we spent the first handful of minutes recapping the events of last season. I also liked Crystal Fox. I think she was like, and now the new season premiere of the Haves and the Have-Nots. That was a slick intro. So we get confirmation that Wyatt didn't receive a kill shot from the cop. It was a shot just to kind of knock him out. He's still alive. And not to mention it, actually, I didn't think of this until now. I was curious. It's like, dude, he just got shot. He's acting weird. I forgot that he's still high off the drugs that RK gave him. So that maybe explains why he was able to just, kind of shake off the bullet wound. Yeah, he did complain about some pain in the shoulder, obviously, but I forgot that he was high. So that probably made him react a little differently if he wasn't high. So the cops go into the house to see if there are any other bodies based off Wyatt's, claims that he shot and killed his parents. Wyatt is brought to the cop car, put on the inside of it, and he's talking with George. And for me, I'm like, oh, great. How long is this back and forth going to go? But thankfully, it didn't take long. It was only about 2 or 3 minutes. And during that time, guys, Wyatt admitted to shooting Amanda, and that made my jaw drop. I'm like, no. Yes, I will be doing a separate video on that, but there are just so many reasons why that is messed up. Because if you remember way back in technically it was season 2, but now it's known as season 1 finale Checkmate, this was at a point when Wyatt was clean. He wasn't on drugs. This was when he was actually doing good. He hadn't exactly finished up his program at Veronica's drug facility or rehabilitation center, but he was with his parents. This was after the hit and run, and he was scared of going to jail for hitting little Lizzie and Benny, but he was not on drugs. He wasn't even drunk. He didn't get drunk until the following morning when he found Jim's phone outside of the front door after Warlock and the crew abducted him. Then he got drunk, drinking all the alcohol that was in Jim's study. So I need to really evaluate how and why he did it. And yes, I remember that one episode where he called Jeffrey saying, I'm going to do it just like my sister did. And it's like, wait, what? And I'm like, is he referring to taking his own life like Amanda did, even though we know she didn't take her own life? Or does he mean like take his life like he took his sister's? But I don't want to harp on this too long because this will be like a 40-minute video. But I will be doing a separate video about Wyatt admitting to killing Amanda. That was like, oh my God. I didn't even expect that to happen during the first couple minutes. Sadly, we didn't get a new theme opening. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said before, I like the old one, but I thought with this season being season 7, the deadliest season, they would have spiced things up a little. Now, during the first commercial break, we get our little 15-second teaser that If Loving You Is Wrong is coming back. Yes, I've gotten my hand on the teaser thanks to a lot of devoted fans. I mean, people have sent me the if Loving You Is Wrong teasers, actually, there are two of them. The season trailer for season 7 of The Haves and the Have-Nots, as well as the credits from this episode showing us what's happening next week. So I have several breakdowns to do this week, which I'm happy about. The Overland Sisters, they are coming back today, but like I said before, Have and Have-Nots takes priority, not to mention If Loving You Is Wrong. So be on the lookout for those videos. The Overland Sisters probably coming later this week. So we get back to the episode. The two cops are searching the house, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, please, God, don't let this be the first 10 minutes of the episode. We don't need to see these two slowly going through the house. But they find Jim and they find Catherine, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not an expert in this, so I'm not going to say that, dude, why didn't they do this? I'm not an expert, so if there are medical people out there watching, let me know. When it comes to these situations, do cops not touch the bodies or anything to make sure they're alive? Do they just say, hey, there's a body, and then, you know, they wait for the paramedics and whatnot to come in? So I don't want to criticize the show on that. I just don't have the know-how, so I'm not going to just sit up here and say, yeah, I'm going to take off points because the cops didn't do a damn thing. Why didn't they turn Jim over to see if he was alive? Why didn't that one cop, you know, take Catherine's body out of the water? I don't know how that's supposed to go, so I'm not going to say that they should have done this and they should have done that. But I'm so glad the episode picked up where it left off, which is why I did that video based off that 5-second promo we got where, you know, you see the cop and Wyatt, and I'm like, I think sometimes based off the background music alone, you can kind of tell what part of the episode that scene is in. So that's why I'm glad I did the video that, hey, you know what? They're going to pick up where it left off, and that video's doing pretty well. Hopefully this episode review does well too. Then we go back to Veronica's house, who's just getting home from the hospital because remember in the last episode, she went to check on / threaten Justin, showing off those red bottoms. But basically, she's thinking that David and Jeffrey are dead, which is sloppy, and I'm still not going to forgive her for leaving that cigarette butt at the scene of the crime. She gets a call from the one thug who I don't know his name. I don't even know if they revealed it, but actually, let me take a quick pause in recording this video, so when I come back in your time, it'll only be a couple of seconds. It'll be a couple minutes in my time. I'm going to see if I can find the thug's name on IMDb, mainly because of the fact that he was in several scenes of the episode, so I do think it's important to find a name if I can find one. So during the brief pause on my end, I hope you take a moment to hit that subscribe button because the channel has gotten over 300 subscribers in a day, which is great. Make sure we keep it up. Well, my apologies. In my pause, I checked IMDb, couldn't find anything. Then I went to the end credits of the episode, you know, where they show the characters who were in the episode. I didn't find a name, so I apologize. So the thug that Veronica was talking to over the phone, I can only call him Thug because it's kind of interesting how we got the names of the two victims of the shooting who were Randy and Tyrone, but I don't believe we got the name of the head honcho thug. But in any case, you know, one of them was his brother. Veronica doesn't give a damn, but this guy doesn't seem like he's one to be trifled with, and he demands that Veronica come down to the hospital. So then we go over to David and Jeffrey, and it looked like a freaking round of Call of Duty went down in the foyer / living room area of his house. But yeah, Veronica was told that those two were prepared, and it's a good thing Jim made a few stops. Remember, after David had attempted to drown Veronica, Jim found out she was alive. He drove David home, but they made a few stops along the way so they'll be prepared for Veronica's retaliation. And yeah, so Jeffrey and David were able to fend off the thugs that broke into the house. But I mean, and this isn't a complaint, this is just a question. So it seemed like they were both coming from downstairs, because in the last episode, you know, they were kind of halfway down the stairs, you know, while shooting. I mean, they were shooting as soon as they could peek their eyes / guns over the banister, so that way they caught the guys off guard. So I'm going to guess that they shot as many as they could, and then when the rest of them kind of ran off, that's when they went upstairs to kind of regroup, and then hence why they were coming downstairs with the guns pointed. So I guess that makes sense. Plus, time has passed, so I don't think this was like a real-time moment where, oh wow, we're seeing David and Jeffrey moments right after all those guys left. Because this show does have a tendency to do that, where like the first scene could be two characters, but then halfway through the episode we'll see two other characters in a scene that should have taken place moments before the scene we got at the beginning of the episode. That makes sense. But David shooting that, is Jeffrey's like, is he dead? The bad son of a bitch is dead now. And I'm like, oh man, sorry, my voice isn't fully back, so I can't do my David impression on point like I usually do, but let me give it a shot. So David wants to get revenge. He's like, Jeffrey, I'm going to kill that bitch. And I'm like, oh, damn. Okay. He's like, Dad, put the gun down. Give me my gun. And I'm thinking, well, David, I mean, you were holding two and Jeffrey only took one. So, but in any case, Jeffrey wants to run away. David ain't leaving his town for nobody. So the one thing I will admit, I did like how Jeffrey was keeping a level head. He wasn't sounding too childish at first. The running away thing. I'm like, it doesn't matter where you go. Veronica's going to find you. But I like how David and Jeffrey were playing off each other. Like, Jeffrey wanted to play it smart. David just wanted to, in my opinion, do the smart thing in this situation, in Veronica once and for all. I see no problem with that. It's almost like a Batman Joker thing. It's like, if you kill him, you save a lot of lives. If you let him live, Joker's just going to keep killing more and more people. But with Veronica, you could either take her out, and to be honest, like David said, I don't think that there's anything that can contain her. Jeffrey wants to find something that'll make her stick, so maybe that cigarette butt that Veronica left at the front of the house in the last episode will play a key factor in DNA tracking and then link her to the scene of the crime. So just saying, it is possible. And honestly, I would hate for that to be the reason she gets taken down, because that was pretty damn sloppy. I'm still not able to forgive the fact that she goes to the hospital in the last episode, then gets all the way home in this episode, and assumes that David and Jeffrey are dead without at least standing there to confirm it. Because some of those guys got away, as we saw. Like the one guy, the main thug, and he's at the hospital, so wouldn't that be right to assume that some of the guys got shot and they made it to the hospital for recovery? Because if not, let's say if this one guy was the only guy to make it out alive, which he wasn't, because remember, we only saw two bodies on the floor. The only reason he would be at the hospital is some of his dudes got shot up and they needed medical attention. So in my mind, that's the only reason he was at the hospital. But that's just my opinion. So once again, that was a good Jeffrey David scene. I think the acting was very well done, in my opinion. Then we get to another great scene. Candace and Hannah. I'd almost forgotten how these two are on good terms now. I was grinning ear to ear the entire scene between Hannah and Candace. So we got Charles on television pretty much pulling a Peter and denying that he knew anything to do with Candace. It was just like, what was it? Peter denied Christ 3 times before the cock crowed. Charles is just doing the same thing. I was lonely. I was vulnerable, and she took advantage of that, and I didn't love her, and I'm just like, meh. And I did like when Hannah came down, Candace, mentioned her haircut, and hell, even Charles had a different hairstyle in this episode. But I think that's a fun little wink at the camera, kind of like last season when Jeffrey's ever-changing hair kept going from like mullet fade or whatever to shortcut, and then David was like, oh, we need to get you a haircut, and it's like, next time I'll take it to a real barber. Oh, I can still do the David voice. Maybe with the sore throat, I can actually do it better. I'm gonna kill that bitch. She the one that sit these people try to. You're her son. And look, she can take as many shots as she wants at me, but you, no. So, okay, I got it. I still got it. Okay, I'm not doing that again though, because I made my throat hurt very quickly. So they have a nice talk where Candace is talking about, how do you do this, Mom, in regards to this big house, the cars and whatnot. Hannah said the funniest line of the episode. I go to work and I have a job, and I'm like, when was the last time we saw Hannah working? I know this might sound bad, but I feel like Hannah has quit her job with the Crier estate more times than Wyatt has hit those drugs and alcohol in this entire series. I'm just saying. And yeah, I know that time for us moves by quicker, and in this show it's only a matter of days per season. But seriously, she hasn't worked in, I mean, allegedly, before the shooting, she was going to take that job at the Sarandon Hotel as like the chief of cleaning and whatnot. So technically speaking, she was going to go down to the hotel tomorrow, in the show's timeline, check things out, and then start working there. So she does have a job. But when was the last time we saw her working? And also, I like the fact that the characters changed clothes this episode. Well, particularly like the young family. So that was just something to take note of. But basically, it's all about hard work and God. And Candace wants to talk with Derek. Yeah, I know we saw that in the preview, but I'm not talking about the preview. We're talking about the episode itself. That was good. Hannah, again, she was killing it this episode. I'm not going to stand in the way of you getting to know your father. I just don't want to talk to him. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you. Well, I do find it kind of odd how she kind of, kept the intel away from Benny about Tony, but isn't against Candace getting to know her father, who was the man that assaulted her when she was younger, in reference to Hannah. Tony was just a deadbeat father who wasn't there for his son, yet Hannah didn't want Benny to know that Tony was his father. You know what? I'll accept this victory, so whatever. A bit inconsistent, but oh well. So I do like the fact that Candace did make a nod to her killer instinct, where when she was the one who was breaking hearts and whatnot, she was the one avoiding being hurt. She liked being cold. When she was like that, it was about her getting hurt. It was more like, I got to get them before they get me. And we can literally tell that she is still in love with Charles. That's not, obviously, because once again, in the Haves and Have-Nots timeline, only a couple hours have passed since she was with Charles to when she got kicked out. So, yeah. But basically, we go over to Charles and Oliver, who are recapping the fact that the interview went well in Charles's favor. Social media is eating it up. Though we didn't care to share exactly what what the media was saying about Candace. So, Charles is still a bit broken up over it. Landon is back. I did not know he was going to be in this episode. I literally did not know. That was a pleasant surprise. But him and Oliver take shots at each other. It seemed like, Oliver, in my opinion, was possibly the one to sabotage Candace. But as the episode goes on, we see that may have not been the case, but I can't be 100% sure. So Landon wants to talk with Charles immediately over getting fired. And once again, Oliver and Landon go back and forth. Oliver goes to see Charles, tells him that Landon is here. Oliver wasn't able to tell the entire staff yet that Landon was fired. So basically, it's like, Again, I'm not going to take points off of that because, guys, it's only been a couple of hours in the show's timeline. So I'm not going to be that harsh on it. Landon comes in. Apparently he had a family emergency, which I'm kind of confused about, because if you go back to the timeline, Charles got the news that Landon wasn't able to spin the story a few hours ago. And then why did Charles ask Landon where he was when he fired him? Not to mention Charles didn't expect Landon to come back. So Charles, why are you asking Landon where he was? Okay, yeah, I'm taking points off for that. Even though it's still a 9 out of 10. See what I mean by the few flaws? You see what I'm saying here? It's kind of odd. So maybe I interpreted that scene wrong. So if anybody else saw it a different way, let me know. But Landon reassures Charles he had nothing to do with the Candace sabotage. And Landon was kind of Charles was kind of using his masculinity to manipulate Landon's homosexuality in order to get him to confess that he was the one to sabotage Candace in order to get him closer to Charles, which is something I did a video on a while ago. But Landon didn't have anything to do with it. He did say that the Attorney General had everything on Candace. So to be fair, I don't think Landon could have spun that. I could be wrong, but Keep in mind this: Candace was spotted on TV at the White House with Charles. All the people she conned came forward with their Me Too movement times up allegations. The Attorney General had all that stuff. Now, again, I don't know how this stuff works behind the scenes, where if they wanted to sweep it under the rug, they may have been able to do that, but I don't know if Landon has that much capability. I could be wrong. I mean, if it was Maggie Day, she probably could have done it, but we'll just have to wait and see. But honestly, I don't think Landon had anything to do with this. Hell, why would Landon sabotage Candace and Charles when he was the one that got them back together? Because he saw that Candace made Charles better than he was before. I mean, at the beginning, he was against this 100%. But now he was the one that brought them back together. So I'm surprised Landon didn't bring that up. So I'm flipping my page of notes here. So Charles pretty much says, I want to focus on two things: running the country and ruining your life. So basically Landon is done, which really sucks. So then he goes outside. He takes a few more shots at Oliver, who's enjoying this moment. And I'm like, did those two have a thing in the past? Just the way they're, going back and forth at each other. When this fool said, and cut your damn hair going into the White House with a mullet, I was done. That was a funny scene. So let's see here. Yeah, we got a couple more scenes to go over. And we're almost done. This is a lengthy episode review. But guys, this was the season premiere. I got to go in depth. And if you're new to the channel, this is what I do. It's called the Haves and the Have-Nots review. I don't post full episodes, mainly due to copyright. I'm a full-time YouTuber, and I'm not trying to get my channel taken down. So let's move over to the hospital, where we see Madison and Keisha, who is also Secret Service Yuma on the Oval. So we got Justin calling for assistance. It's like Justin's calling the front desk as many times as he was calling Jeffrey. Well, no, actually, I remember he was like calling Madison over and over again after he took the phone number from Jeffrey's phone. But he wants more pain meds, and he wants to overdose in order to take his life. And he's like, I got $11,000. Just give them to me. I won't tell anybody. Madison leaves. Okay. I will admit, even though I don't care for Justin, I'm actually pleasantly surprised that scene was only like a minute long. A minute longer than I wanted, but I'm glad that the episode moved forward. And then Madison and Keisha are talking again about how, okay, he needs a psych evaluation. He wants to take his own life. Keisha kind of suspects that Madison might be sympathetic or like Justin. And, Madison isn't having that. So Veronica arrives, and guys, I get it. The moment we saw Veronica when she first got home in the episode, I'm like, damn, we haven't seen Veronica in 6 months. And no, I don't count reruns. But Veronica was doing in this episode what I didn't like she was doing in the episode Show Not Tell. Her relentless taunting. And I know that for me as a viewer, it's kind of like, okay, when are we going to, put the Ice Queen, well, no pun intended, kind of on ice? Like, we get it. She's the queen of one-liners and everything. But some of her, I guess you could say, insults and dry wit do get a bit old, because you kind of just run with that gag for minutes at a time, as opposed to the slick one-liners that is like, oh, that was clever, versus her just constantly going on about Botox, foundation, rainbows, girly girl. And to any viewers who may be LGBTQ, let me know how you feel about that. I mean, I'm just a casual fan, so I'm kind of like, for the people, part of the community that Veronica is insulting. And guys, it is a TV show, so I'm not saying bad mouth Tyler Perry or Angela Robinson. I'm talking about Veronica as a character. I just feel like even if she was talking that way to like a straight person, a white person, a black person, hell, I mean, she was like affirmative action to Keisha working at the front desk. Learn a new tune, Veronica. That's just my opinion. It's just, that's one of the, again, few of the nitpicks that's kind of like, yeah, these scenes keep the episode from a 10 out of 10, because when you see Veronica, it's just the same thing over and over and over. So after her taunts, the thug shows up, takes her to the side and tells her that Randy and Tyrone are both dead. And didn't Keisha say that she liked Veronica? Oh, and like, I want to kill her ass kind of way. But I'm like, wait, is Keisha into women? Is that why her and Madison kind of get along, where she's into women and Madison's into men? Maybe I misread what she said, but that's just my thoughts. I don't really know. So he would like for the fact that Veronica could pay for the funerals because, well, they both went down in her service and they are both fathers. Well, let me just say, they have baby mamas. She's like, fine, maybe I could pay for a casket, buy one, get one or something. And then when she kind of takes the thug, kind of towards the back, I'm like, wait, are they going to have sex in the hospital? But no, she goes in to taunt Justin, and Justin scared to death was so delicious to see. That was exactly what I thought would happen. I've done a few Justin videos during the hiatus about Veronica going to see him, and even if Jeffrey went to see Justin, it would get to the point where Justin wouldn't want to have anything to do with Jeffrey because he knows messing with Jeffrey would bring down the wrath of Veronica. So Madison shows up in order to save Justin, but he was just doing his job, and I like that. So once Veronica and, the thug leave and Veronica gives him the card to the Botox and blah, 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 Justin thanks him, says, you're a good guy. Please check in on me. And Madison will do that. And he starts crying like a bitch. Oh, excuse me. Crying like a poor innocent victim. And I remember tweeting out, do you feel sorry for Justin? No sympathy. Nobody responded yes. So, all right. So Benny gets a call from Mitch, who it's like, what, past 9 p.m. because he said he'll pick him up. And it's like, yo, we'll hang out like at 10. His thirst for Candace is real. He wants to celebrate. The Malone's no longer looking to kill him. But in the last episode, we knew that Mitch wants to get it with Candace because those two were together in the past. But, Benny's like, I'll check and see if she's still awake and wants to go out. So, yeah. So we know Mitch is trying to get with Candace. That's pretty much it. Oh, yeah, that's right. We didn't see a lot of Benny. And I will say this episode was pretty good pace-wise for the most part. Veronica's leaving the hospital, and I did not, again, another surprise. I did not expect Selene to pop up in episode 1. And guys, I did an entire video about Selene secretly being a millionaire. You need to check that one out because I forgot the numbers off the top of my head, but she's sitting on millions from Jim Cryer in child support, so she should not be working at the hospital. She should not be. I did feel kind of bad because she's literally just trying to do her job, and Veronica's harassing her, but at the same time saying, come see me, we'll get Jim Cryer together. But remember, they don't know that he's been shot. So Jim ending up in the hospital, I would not be surprised if Selene goes to see him at some point. So I did feel kind of bad for her, Selene, because once again, we haven't seen her in years, guys. What's it been, like 3 years since we saw Selene, if not more? So there we go. We get to the last scene. Candace and Benny talking. Benny's saying that Candace, you're getting ready to leave, aren't you? I don't blame you if you do. Candace doesn't want to leave because she makes a good point. Where is she going to run to? Everybody knows her face now. They know she's a con artist. And she's iffy about going out with Mitch and Benny. So she's probably just going to sit and watch TV. And then the end of the episode, they see the news and they see the criers. And I think the anchor was like the corners there. So it doesn't look good, but I don't think either one of them are dead. I think this was a very good cliffhanger. So, guys, that was it. Are you happy? Yeah, I'm pretty happy. That was a pretty solid episode. 9 out of 10. I stand by my score. What did you think of the episode? Let me know in the comment section below. Like I said before, a few minor nitpicks. Veronica just being, well, Veronica. It's like, come on, learn a new joke. I've already talked about the whole Charles and Landon, the family emergency situation. You know what? This episode did prove something. It's like I've been saying before. You can take a couple of the main cast out of the picture and it'll still be a solid episode because you have more than enough characters to keep the show going. Catherine and Jim were briefly in the episode, no speaking lines. But guess what? This was still a great episode. I've said it for years now, and I'm not saying I want this to happen, but even if you killed Veronica, I'm seeing a lot of people saying more about Veronica being taken down or killed than ever before. Look at this episode itself. One of my pet peeves, her just repeating the same taunts and insults to people over and over again. So you could take Veronica out of the show, and to be honest, I don't think it would be a bad thing. And I know I'm probably going to get flack for that, but let's be completely honest here. Even if you took Veronica out of the show, that doesn't mean the show can't go on. I know people are like, I want to quit watching the show. Blah, blah. If you say you're going to quit watching the haves and the have-nots just because Veronica's gone, are you really a fan at all? Because this episode proves there are a lot of other storylines that go on without Veronica. Sure, you could argue that a lot of characters, most of their story is Veronica fueled because their story arc and what they do in terms of their actions is directly connected to what Veronica does to them. It's pretty much, a kill or be killed scenario, or figure out a way to take her down, which is very true. But at the same time, 2 main cast members were out of commission the entire episode, but the show still went on. So in my opinion, I thought it was pretty good. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Charles had the nerve to get his phone out and almost call Candace. I'm like, you get on national television denouncing you know her at all, and you have the nerve to want to call her back. It's almost like you break up with your girl, you go back to your boys and talk trash about her, and then as soon as the boys leave, you want to give her a call. Get out of here. I'm not docking points for that. I just thought it was an interesting scene. So they obviously still have feelings for each other. I feel like Candace is going to move on before Charles does, in my opinion. Charles is going to be the one that comes back for her. That's what I think. So I did like how, I think the most asked question about this season, other than who's dead, is people wanting Charles and Candace back together. The Charles and Candace story, in my opinion, is way more interesting than anything Veronica's doing. Come at me. But no lie. Guys, I have a busy week ahead of me, and Lord willing, my voice gets stronger every day. I need to go to the post office this morning. Then I want to stop by Dollar General and Food Line, which are thankfully next to each other. A lot of people have been recommending tea and honey. Other people have been recommending gargling with salt water. So, yeah. Hopefully next week, this time my voice is at full capacity. But the Oval and Sisters, like I said, those shows on the back burner. Like I said, this episode review, I have technically 3 trailer breakdowns. Next Tuesday's Have and Have Nots, the season 7 trailer, If Loving You Is Wrong teaser. I got a bunch of theory and discussion videos on the haves and the have nots. And to be honest, I'm scared and excited because this episode took some turns I wasn't expecting. So despite my theories and whatnot, even I'm a bit lost right now. So that says something. I think we're going to be in for a fun ride. Definitely. We got some decent setup in this episode. I think, as always, the camera work and the lighting looked fantastic. I think it had strong acting overall. So yeah, 9 out of 10. So once again, guys, if you are new, please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon. That way you don't miss out any new content. The show is back, guys. That means things are going to get wild around here. Even though we don't have a return date for the If Loving You Is Wrong, just knowing that it's coming back for its final season is more than enough for me. So let me know in the comments some of your favorite moments of the episode. Share this video around. Check me out on social media. I have plenty of Facebook groups where we'll talk about Tyler Perry shows all week. The Haves and the Have-Nots, I believe, is over... How many members are in that group? Let me check. Because that group keeps growing and growing and growing every day. And honestly, I'm surprised my voice held out so I could do this video. Yeah, the group is over 12,000 members. So guys, don't hesitate to join. Tell your friends about the channel. I should be getting the Silver Play Button Award for hitting 100,000 within the next week or two. And I will do an unboxing video there. And yeah, so I will keep you updated on what's going on with me. Hopefully I'll have my car back by the end of the week. That will really give me a big morale boost. But all I can say is thanks so much for supporting me. This is a new year. Let's make this season great, guys. And I will talk to you all later.